Hello guys, it's Elias again with you guys. Today I'm going to be presenting Programming Homework 2 for Computer Science 2. I chose the second list of 3 questions, which starts with the 7.8 lab, the 7.9 lab, and the 24.9 lab. We'll jump right into them. Here are the questions. They're also in my code, so we'll go ahead and jump right in. So first up, I have my Mad-Lib loops problem, which states, write a program. Let me fix this really quick. There you go. Write a program that takes a string and an integer as input and outputs a sentence using the input values as shown in the example below. The program repeats until the input string is quit and disregards the integer input that follows. Alrighty guys, so I start off with what it said to take an input. That input I typed in to enter a string and an integer. Then what I did, as you can see here, I split it up into a list named tokens. So token 0 would be my string and token 1 would be my integer. I then did a while looping statement. So while token 0, or while my string does not equal quit, I proceed on to this right here. I put an if-else statement. So I went ahead and put an if the length of tokens is 1, meaning there's only one variable in the list, then it would print out you need to input 2 values, a string and then an integer. And I went ahead and ask for user input again by entering a string and an integer, and then split the user input again. So once that person has inputted a string and an integer, it will split and continue with this else statement right here, saying that printing out eating token 1, which is the number, and then token 2, which is the whatever the string they put in, a day keeps the doctor away. I then put it to repeat, accepting user input again and splitting that user input into 2 tokens, because again we are looping this statement until the user types in the word quit. So I'll go ahead and run this so you guys can see how it goes. Oops, wrong one. Alright, it says enter in a string and an integer. I just type in apples, type in 6. So it prints out eating 6 apples a day keeps the doctor away. So far so good. So now I'm going to run where I type in a string but not a number or an integer, and let's see what pops up. It says you need to input 2 values, a string and an integer. So I'll go ahead and input 2 values again. So I'll put donuts and 10. So it says eating 10 donuts a day keeps the doctor away. It sure does. I'll go ahead and test my quit statement. So I'll put quit and see if it ends the loop. Alrighty, like it says here, process finished. So it does. If you type in quit, it does end the loop statement, ending this program. We'll go on and head on over to our second program that we wrote. Our second program was a palindrome. It states, a palindrome is a word or phrase that is the same when read both forward and backward. Examples are Bob sees, or never odd or even, ignoring spaces. Write a program whose input is a word or phrase and that outputs whether the input is a palindrome. So I started this again with accepting user input and type in a word or phrase to see if it is palindrome. I went ahead and created a variable that receives the user input but without spaces, so joining it all together. And then I typed in another variable that reverses the user input without spaces, which is this right here. I put normal string from beginning to end, start at the end, so it reverses it. And then I went ahead and started this if-else statement to if the normal string is the same as reverse string, then whatever the user input is a palindrome, else it is not. We'll go ahead and run this, see if it runs. We'll use these 3 examples that were given to us. So Bob sees and never odd or even. So let's go ahead and run this. Type in Bob first, B-O-B, run. Bob is a palindrome. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and run it again. We'll type in C to see if that works. C's is a palindrome. So far so good. And we'll type in the last one, which is never odd or even. We'll run that. And it does give us out that never odd or even is a palindrome. So we'll go ahead and try with a word that is not a palindrome to see if it's still functioning. Well, looks like I have made an error, so I'll fix that promptly and we'll get right back to it. Sorry guys, I misread that. I thought it said funny is a palindrome, but no, clearly says funny is not a palindrome. So our code is correct. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our third and final question, which says write a program that creates a login name for a user given the user's first name, last name, and a 4-digit integer as input. Output the login name, which is made up of the first 5 letters of the last name, followed by the first letter of the first name, and the last 2 digits of the number. Use the, pretty sure this is the floor division operator, if the last name has less than 5 letters. Then use all letters of the last name. Alright, so here again, I created a variable that accepts user input, which states input your first name, last name. Oops, probably should put commas here. First name, last name, and a 4-digit number. I gave an example, my name Elias, my last name Rodriguez, and the year 2021. So I went ahead and split this, so it will split the user input. I took in the variable name first to hold the first name, which will be the first value in our list values. Then I created another variable named last, took in the second input took in the second value of our list values, and finally I created another variable named number that will take in sorry, small distraction off screen, but that will take in the third list item in values and turn it into an integer. I also put this if statement right here. If the length of last, which is our last name, is greater than 5, then we will only take what is the first 5 things, or 5 things within the last name. So I put print your login name. I put these so I can just format it later. Format will be the last name first. Remember, the last name will be the only first 5 characters. The first name only taking the first letter, followed by only the last 2 numbers. Alright, we'll go ahead and run this really quick to see if it works. So we'll run. Try that one more time. Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and do it with mine. So my name is Elias, last name is Rodriguez. Put in a number 2021. So in theory, if it takes the first 5 characters of my last name, which is RODRI, and the first initial of my name, which is E, and the last 2 digits of the number I typed, which is 21. My username should be Rodri E21. We'll go ahead and press enter and see if that works. And sure enough, it did work. Printed that out. We'll run it again using a different name, a different last name. So we'll do Edwin. Let's see if it works with a 4-letter last name. Edwin Long, number 2045. So it did work. It took these 4 characters from the last name, only put the first initial of the first name, first character of the first name, and only the last 2 digits over 4 digits. Alrighty guys, that is all for today. Thank you so much.